All right, so here we are again, guys, at the Cyara Xchange 2025 event. Peter Aravinda, thank you so much for coming back to the CXChronicles podcasting booth.
Good to be here.
So, full candor, guys, I have to call this out. I had this incredible conversation with Peter and Aravinda yesterday. We talked about all this stuff that every single one of you guys needs to know about, and then technical difficulties at a technical conference. So guys, thank you so much for coming back and doing round two with me. But I really love the story. I love the things you guys are working on at Microsoft. I wanted to make sure that we captured it and had this in there. So I appreciate the round two. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yep, my name is Peter Nilsson. I'm a principal engineering manager at Microsoft. We focus on the telecommunications technologies that bring voice services into and out of the company, and allows our customers to talk to any support personnel that they need across all of our lines of business, across all geographies, multiple languages, etc. So, I've been there for 10 years and just love the telco industry.
Love it. Awesome.
I'm Aravinda. I'm a senior software engineer. I work for Peter's team. I've been in Microsoft since 14 years. Kind of what, as Peter said, I'm part of the telco team and doing all the telco stuff for our Microsoft Contact Center services.
I love it. So number one, I was excited to get you gents back over here because number one, that's what we're doing here this week, right? Cyara Xchange. It's all about exchanging ideas, learning from other people. Peter, I know that you just literally got out of a presentation just a minute ago, we have a bunch of awesome people here doing different things, different types of businesses, different verticals. What brought you guys here? What was kind of the big reason or the big call to be at Cyara Xchange 2025 for you folks?
Well, I've been working with Cyara and Spearline, which is a company that they acquired a few years back, for a long time. And they've actually been a really good partner with us to help us validate the quality of the voice services that come into Microsoft. So you can imagine dialing 1-800-Microsoft here in the US. You expect to get a good quality experience without having the ability to test, without actually having people dialing for dollars, testing manually. This has been a way for us to automate a lot of those capabilities and to drive accountability with our carrier partners, and making sure that our services meet the expectation that we, as arguably one of the top technology companies in the world, would expect. So Cyara offered to have me come speak for a few things just about my experience in telephony and customer experience, and for us is to learn what's next as we move into conversational AI.
I love that. Out of curiosity, with two gentlemen like yourself who've been doing this for a very long time, and you're absolutely right, you're doing it at arguably one of the biggest companies on planet Earth. What are you seeing, or what are you feeling, or what are you kind of sniffing out as what's next? Has there been anything over day one or day two so far that it's kind of got you guys thinking about maybe something that maybe you weren't thinking about before Austin, or is it kind of what you expected and some of the things are kind of par for the course?
What do you think? I think the first thing that struck me was how similar our experiences are across industries. I've met with people from Humana, other insurance companies, Salesforce, or Microsoft, and a lot of our challenges and experiences are similar. But I guess if you think about it, we all have one foot in the telco industry and one in our companies.
Interesting,
And we all want the best experience for our customers, but we're having the same challenges to overcome. And while there's a lot of tools and capabilities today through Cyara with existing technologies, as we're moving into true agentic experiences and conversational AI in the future, how are we going to measure that success? And we're still learning. I don't have the answers.
It's quite interesting to see in the previous meeting that people from Salesforce and we are from Microsoft talking about similar issues.
Right.
Every large companies have the same issues, different issues with different countries, different issues with number porting in different countries, in-country restrictions, in-country dialing, several lot of things that we face day to day is something that was discussed there by other companies. It's really good to see how other companies are also having similar problems, and all of us trying to see how we can solve it, right? You know.
You could almost say it's comforting to know we're not the only ones going through some of these
Sure.
challenges, and they're not targeting us.
What I was thinking is like hearing you guys say that when you start to talk about like the Microsofts and the Salesforces of the world in the same room, realizing and identifying that there's almost the exact same pains or the exact same rubs. It makes me think then this is probably going to be the folks that comes up with the playbook for how all the other big companies on planet Earth are going to have to be thinking about this stuff because it's inevitable for them as well, right? If companies like this are on the forefront of seeing some of the pains or some of the opportunities, right, of what we could do to continue to get the stuff better.
To me,
in the
it's
future.
kind of felt very good here because I never gone into these kind of conferences. I never interacted with people outside my company
Yep.
who are in the same field.
Yeah.
You know, telecom.
Yeah. Yep.
Good to see that here.
Yep.
That a good experience for me to listen to what other people have.
Yeah.
You know.
100%. I think one of the biggest gains that comes from events like Cyara Xchange or any of these industry events is exactly what you just said, Aravinda. It's like number one, let's call it what it is. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. You get a break from the damn desk and you get to get away from your normal scenery. That in and of itself puts your brain typically in a different type of mental gear, right? You're a little bit more open to learning, or you're more open to, more curious, whatever you want to call it. But then number two, you're absolutely right. You sit down and you start getting granular examples from other business like sized or like type businesses that are going through the same types of things. It starts to open up your eyes, open up your ears, open up your brain for the possibilities of what you can go back to the team with and start to kind of tinker on or iterate on.
Well, it's also inspirational, right? So
big time.
You know, I know that I'm going back more energized and ready for action than when I started this conference, right? So that's really the goal.
I love it. Peter, do you mind sharing? So the presentations, I know you had a couple presentations this week, but what was some of the stuff that you were getting into for the listeners of the podcast that weren't here with us this week in Austin? What were some of the things that you were kind of diving into, and what were some of the things that you were presenting to the group that you were talking with today?
Yeah, so today we were talking specifically about how do we ensure that our front door phone numbers are actually working.
Love it.
I mean, that's part of Microsoft's brand. 1-800-Microsoft is there for a reason.
Yep.
Right? And when customers pick up the phone and dial it, they expect to get somewhere.
Yep.
Not hear a fast busy or the number you have reached can't be dialed or, something like that.
Yep.
So what's Salesforce and Microsoft, when we were in that, we partnered together on that, was just talking a little bit about our journey and how we were able to take back control from the carriers to prove to them when there's issues on their end. One of the crazy things, and we learned this ourselves, was sometimes these large, big carriers will perform some changes in the back end. Our number will disappear for an hour, then it'll come back on, right? But they won't tell us unless we know about it.
You would think that Microsoft and Salesforce needs to know when their 1-800 number is
Yeah, you
just
think it would be important.
disappear for an hour or so.
Right. So now we've been empowered to do that. And initially, when we present that data to the carriers, they don't really believe us.
Okay.
But over time, and we're not the first ones to approach carriers now with evidence, knowledge is power kind of thing, and holding them accountable. So that was pretty much the main point we were trying to drive home, was being able to test the true end-to-end customer experience, which means in-country testing, not just cloud testing or using Skype to dial a phone number, because you don't really know how it's moving across the global network. Okay. But if you know where it's starting and you know where it's ending, then you're really testing sort of everything in between.
Out of curiosity, and it's just as you say it like that, what type of, and if I'm putting you on the spot and you don't have the answer, fine, but what type of call volume does a company like Microsoft
he probably knows
see on
best.
A monthly, and even a monthly
our
basis?
call volume that we kind of today supporting for the Microsoft contact centers is 1 billion calls per year.
Oh my God.
That's the volume that we manage.
1 billion a year.
Yeah.
And you guys think that you have trouble with your 10,000 phone calls a month out? I'm kidding. But that's crazy. So it makes sense now when you start to talk about breaking out the caveats or breaking things into granular compartments when you're talking about a billion things into all of these technical caveats. That's where this can get pretty hairy pretty darn quick.
And not just that, I couldn't even quantify the number of different products and SKUs that Microsoft offers. each one has to be supported in a variety of different ways, in different channels, right? So email support, chat support, callback support, inbound call volume support. How do you keep track of all that and make sure it's going to the right place? And at the end of the day, making sure you're supporting your customers as quickly and efficiently as possible so they're not getting transferred around. Everyone's gotten stuck in a IVR phone tree before.
Absolutely.
Not a fun experience. And then, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to transfer you. And then the receiving agent doesn't know anything about why they were transferring, and you're starting all over.
It's the most painful thing ever.
Right. So how do we crack that nut? And it's not just Microsoft. It's Salesforce has the same challenges.
Everybody. Yesterday, guys, we were talking about there were some interesting things that you were kind of sharing with me. There's AI is a huge part of everything that we're discussing this week here in Austin, obviously, and AI is what everybody in the business land everywhere is talking about. You guys, we had started to talk about how big businesses like Microsoft are thinking about understanding or being able to minimally flag bad acting or potential issues. I'd love, if you can, I'd love to spend a minute or two talking about just general, like, how are big companies thinking about understanding or just being aware of when there might be something at risk or when there might be something flagged, and then I believe it's called like the voice printing or the voice screening. If we could talk about that at a high level for a minute, because I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of smart. I told you, Peter, a lot of smart people running big companies that don't think about some of this stuff. But even at a high level, should people kind of start to think about, they get their own wheels turning around what the future might look like in the good and the bad ways?
Yeah, I'll touch on that at a high level. So we actually have a conversational AI system. Our front door. So when you call 1-800-Microsoft and anyone's welcome to try it, it'll greet you. Welcome to Microsoft. How may we help you? Microsoft's products need to be activated to work. It's called our product activation. There's usually a product activation key that's 5,000 letters long, or some sophisticated number. Microsoft is constantly under attack, whether it's a denial of service type of attack by bad actors to try to clog our contact center lines so that customers can't actually get through, or exploiting Microsoft to try to identify product activation codes and then sell those on the dark web, right, at a discount. Our conversational AI system was able to look at inbound calls, and when the bad actors connect to our front door, they've scripted these bots to say, hello, I'd like to activate my product, and they expect a specific response, and then they'll read out a randomly generated product activation code that they came up with, and then they'll keep doing that till they match. So it's maybe 1 in 1,000, maybe 1 in 500. Takes a while for them to be able to match that. Our system now is able to look at that voice pattern because the bad actors use generally the same type of voice, same inflections, and when they start seeing 2, 3, 4, 5 calls coming through with the same match,
see it right away. You can
they know,
identify
okay, this is bad, and they just drop it.
Drop it off.
And it got to the point now where they were able to recognize after the first utterance, we're sorry, we can't help you right now. Goodbye, and then just hang up on them.
Interesting.
So, of course, they're going to start shifting, but AI is changing the way that we're able to early on detect when the bad actors are trying to come at us so that we can shut the door on them as fast as possible.
I love that's amazing. So number one, just awesome that there's folks like you kind of on the forefront of this, because these are things that small business SMBs, tomorrow's future mid-market and enterprise kind of, there's no way that they're even thinking about this.
And they shouldn't have to, right? They have their core business to run in their small, medium-sized business. So it really depends who they're partnering with, whether it's, whoever is offering a conversational AI type of system. They need to, those systems need to bake in security components to protect the businesses that buy their services and products.
That makes a ton of sense. So before I let you chance go, I want to ask each of you this. So excuse me, what was one big surprising takeaway from Exchange 2025 for you, Peter, that you're gonna go back to the team with, and you're gonna go back to the back home and kind of get ready to dig your teeth into, and then Armando, you're right up after Peter with that same question.
One of the big key takeaways is we've got a lot of work to do. Right when we think we have it licked, we don't.
Yeah.
And if Microsoft is going to really play in the new sandbox of truly conversational AI and start building out agentic agents, or we've even started thinking about autonomous contact centers.
Okay.
Where it's like a logical contact center with agentic bots that are able to communicate with people, take actions based on what's needed. And keeping that in a secure environment and protected from exploits.
Yep.
That's the strategic thinking that I want to come away from this.
That's cool.
And think about, all right, it's so easy to look down and just worry about what's going on day to day, but we have to pull our head up out of the sand and look out there to see, are we even going in the right direction?
100%.
So that's the hard part.
That's cool. Arlindo, what about yourself?
Yeah, simple. Take the learnings from here. Dig in what are the solutions that the Cyara is offering us, then implement it into our day-to-day, and then kind of improvise our system and services.
I love it. Well, it's good that we've got people like you two gentlemen thinking about this stuff, because this stuff's hard. It's complex. And then the reality is, we were joking about this the other day, this is still new. So every damn day, every single month, every single quarter, businesses are learning more and more and more, and then the speed and the velocity is going to probably continue to go up and to the right.
And so going faster.
Even way faster. And so this is an interesting time to be in the space that all of us are in. But gentlemen, thank you so much for joining the CXChronicles podcast and coming by and doing this. And thank you so much for being a part of Cyara Xchange 2025.
Thanks for having us.